I'm Dr. Connie. I'm your host of Mind Your Health podcast. I share my unique perspective both as a practitioner and a patient battling autoimmune condition for over 25 years because I had to figure things out on my own, and my education in my practical approach as a patient allows me to truly integrate it so that you can be whole and the burden of sick care is no longer your own burden to carry. And this is what we help you with in this podcast. Hi, this is Dr. Connie, and today I want to talk to you about why gut health is the root of all symptoms and diseases. So in functional medicine, the gut is often called the second brain. It's the intuitive brain. It's that important. It's also considered an enteric nervous system. And I'll tell you why that's important that you know enteric nervous system, because it's part of the E in my EASE methodology that I created. It's a system by which you can follow and plug in so that you can optimize your health in your own home, in your own time, and it's sustainable for the long haul, for your whole lifetime. It's a skill set that you can learn to cultivate and learn, and it's something we haven't learned. And that's the premise of why I exist and why I do what I do. So what is gut health? And I want to explain to you why it's essential and all the functions of it so that you can really connect with the importance of it so you can take better care of yourself and really hopefully reshape some of the perceptions and the beliefs that you might have around gut health and what you can do about it. So what exactly is the gut? Well, the gut is also known as the gastrointestinal tract because it's gastro lining, intestinal because there's the large and the small intestine, and then it's a tract because it's a hollow system by which it's still outside of you, but it helps to sort of permeate the nutrients into our system. And we're going to learn all the facets and all the complicated elements of the gut and the role it plays in all the functions of our body. It is so important. So nutrient absorption is one of the number one essential function that it provides because the gut breaks down food into nutrients the body needs for fuel, which is energy, which is also known as adenotriphosphate, which is the elemental currency for all the energy input and output. Okay. And without proper gut function, you can see that the body can't absorb these essential nutrients that it needs to optimally function. So it's important to kind of guard and mind the health of your gut. Second is immune system regulation. Immune system, let me tell you, is super complex. There's the thymus gland, but really 70 to 80% of your immune function lies in your gut lining. And body's immune cells exist in the gut, and the gut microbiome interacts with these immune cells and helps to regulate immune response. And it's a complicated one, and it starts in the gut, protecting the body from infections and inflammation. That means gut lining serves as a barrier, which leads me to the third element of gut function, which is barrier function. The gut lining acts as a barrier from the outside to the inside, preventing harmful substances and pathogens from entering the bloodstream. And when it does enter, it's able to quickly respond. You've had all the diarrheal symptoms and had some food poisoning. That's how your gut sort of knows, like, it cannot come in and makes you immediately throw up or have a diarrhea experience to get rid of the toxins. And a healthy gut lining is crucial for maintaining this barrier and preventing leaky gut syndrome. But many of us have poor lining because, again, gut is so intimate with our stress levels, which we'll get into further into this episode. So fourth thing is neurotransmitter production. And many people think neurotransmitter, what does that have anything to do with my gut? Well, the gut microbiome produces neurotransmitters like serotonin and gamma aminobutyric acid, which is also known as GABA, influencing your mood, your ability to sleep, and cognitive function so that you stay focused throughout the day. And I can't tell you how many of you complain to me about having foggy brain, and you guys kind of fear like getting into like early onset dementia, because that's very common these days as well. The fifth thing is detoxification. The gut plays a crucial role in detoxifying harmful substances and eliminating them from the body. Like I said, in the case of when you're vomiting or when you're having diarrheal experience, it's sort of rejecting at the gut level what it doesn't want inside the body, okay? So how does the symptoms arise from the gut issues? Like, what is the pathophysiology? Well, when you think about it, everything has to do with inflammation. Chronic inflammation in the gut can lead to systemic inflammations, because when your barrier function is that you have gaping holes and then pathogens and parasites can enter the body, you get flooded with a lot of toxins in the body. And then the toxins have to be dealt with now by the immune system from our bone marrow as well as thymus glands. So it becomes more of a systemic effect. And that chronic inflammation usually can lead to a wide range of diseases, one of which is autoimmune disorders, cardiovascular disease, and even diabetes. And then the second thing that it contributes to having the symptoms is, you've heard of this before, is leaky gut syndrome that pertains to the barrier function that I talked about in terms of the gut function, or one of the many gut functions that we have, is when the barrier is not doing its proper job and we've got the leaky syndrome where the toxins are entering freely and it just becomes permeable, allowing toxins and undigested food particles and pathogens to enter and flood and overwhelm the immune system, which can trigger an immunological response and inflammation, leading to various symptoms and diseases. And believe it or not, the dysbiosis, which is, we talked about the microbiome, which can lead to an imbalance in the gut microbiome, okay, known as dysbiosis. This is a improper propagation of the wrong species. The bad bacterial strains become hyper populated in your gut. So we've got the good guys, but then we've got the bad guys, and bad guys are taken over, usually is what is referred to as dysbiosis. And dysbiosis has been linked to conditions like irritable bowel syndrome, which is very common these days, depression, anxiety, and even obesity. And then there is the digestion and nutrient absorption. It's one of the functions of your gut. And the microbiome actually helps break down the complex carbohydrates, fibers, and proteins that the human body cannot digest on its own. This process releases short-chain fatty acids and other nutrients that are beneficial for your overall health. And then it is also involved in what's called energy harvesting. I told you before that we have a elemental ATP, which is currency for fuel, for energy. Well, our microbiome actually can influence blood sugar levels and insulin sensitivity, which will impact gut bacteria, or which will impact energy production, because the gut bacteria actually helps to regulate the release of the gut hormones that actually affect insulin response and sensitivity and glucose metabolism, reducing the risk of metabolic disorders like type 2 diabetes and the complications that follow that, okay? And then it also influences fat storage, because the composition of your gut microbiome can affect the way your body stores fat. So we have some studies that suggest that gut bacteria are associated with increased fat storage and obesity, while others are linked to leanness, right? So This dysbiosis is a bigger thing that I want you to consider, and having this multitude of symptoms and contributions to having the symptoms. So it's something that you want to kind of tackle and make sure you have this under control. And then it also helps in modulating inflammation, because chronic inflammation is a risk factor for metabolic diseases and disorders, and gut microbiome can influence this systemic inflammation by helping to reduce it, or if you've got too much bad bacteria floating around, then it's going to increase that inflammatory biomarkers. Impact on appetite and satiety, also the fullness signals, all that is impacted by too your microbiome. So I just really wanted to picture, like when I talk about dysbiosis, how much that is important and how much that influences your gut's ability to help your body heal. Remember too, when the gut detoxification function is compromised, toxins accumulate in the body, contributing to symptoms like headaches, fatigue, and skin issues. And this is why the gut is central to your overall health and well-being. And functional yoga medicine emphasizes utilizing the self-healing tools so you can be empowered, utilizing what I created called the EASE methodology, which is what I teach in Gut Health Mastery. And it's why I focus so much on gut health mastery, because it's one skill that we must learn that we've never learned before. And that skill is so much more than learning to eat the right foods, which sort of sets me up for this second episode that's going to follow, where I'm going to talk to you about why food is not the enemy and what the potential connection between your food and letting that be an enemy source might do for perpetuating your gut dysbiosis and gut dysfunction. So I hope you enjoyed this. And if you like this, please follow me on social. I'm always on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. I'm on YouTube. So I'd love to see DMs coming from you and asking and sharing in this and letting me know some of the things that resonated with you. And until next episode, which is a must watch as well or listen, I'll see you then. Thank you for listening to the Mind Your Health podcast. If you enjoyed the episode, we would so much love it and appreciate it if you share it with someone who could benefit as well as to subscribe to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else where podcasts are found. And leave us a review. We would be so grateful, and it helps us to reach more people just like you, so you can become more empowered to enjoy longevity and health. You can follow me on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at Dr. Connie Chung. And of course, you can subscribe to this podcast for a new episode every single week.